Hey, I'm your host, Jen Wheeler, and this is the Healthy Her podcast. I'm a teacher, author, and foodie who went from being addicted to sugar, skipping meals, and struggling to get in control of my eating, to someone who is 10 kilos down, eats all the yummy foods without restriction, and is finally in control of my hunger. I'm obsessed with helping other health-conscious women ditch the confusion and overwhelm so they can cultivate healthy eating habits and truly thrive. The Healthy Her podcast was created to give you real talk about healthy eating, as well as easy, actionable tips that fit seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. I'm not just your host. Think of me as your healthy eating hype gal, your personal cheerleader as we chat all things healthy eating, weight loss, and mindset mastery, so you can become the healthiest, happiest version of you. So if you're ready to ditch the guilt, reclaim your confidence, and unlock the very best version of you, then you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Her podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a subject that I'm really passionate about and something that I really believe that we should be talking about more as women, and that is the scales. And this is an issue that comes up over and over and over again with the women in my Healthy Eating Hype Gal membership, because as women, we are taught and led to believe that the scale is the only way of measuring any of our healthy eating and weight loss progress. And that is simply not the case. So today I want to share with you my personal journey, some of my personal experiences with the scale, in my hope that by listening to this episode and by the end of this episode, that you may start to sort of shift your perspective and shift the way that you view weighing yourself on a scale every single day. So I want to talk about my personal experience. So if you are new here, I've lost 10 kilos. You can go back to our very first episode and it's all about my Healthy Her journey and my Healthy Her story. So if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, who is she? Or like, can she relate? I absolutely can. So any of the struggles that you're having around healthy eating, sugar cravings, late night snacking, trouble losing weight, all of those things, I've been there. I've experienced them all. And so I can 110% completely relate to all of the feelings and the emotions that you are having. And that is one of the reasons that I created this podcast, was to help women feel less overwhelmed, less confused, and just to understand that so many of the issues that we have around food and healthy eating as women, that so many of us experience those same problems. So that's always my why for sharing my personal experiences with you, in the hope that it can help you too and that it can help you shift your mindset as well. So my experience with the scale, and this is really, really important to remember. So as I just mentioned, I've lost 10 kilos overall, but I weigh more now than what I weighed when I was my leanest and my thinnest. So I'm going to say that again. So I weigh more now than what I was than when I was at my leanest. So if you were to look at that, you go, okay, well, you've lost 10 kilos, but you've put like 6 or 7 back on. But that's not the case. That is what the scale is telling me. But the reason that I personally decided to stop worrying about the scale and those numbers and stuff every single day is because, yes, I have lost the weight. Yes, the scales are telling me that I've put on a little bit more weight, but I have completely changed my body composition. Like, it is so different. And it was a real mindset shift and a real mindset struggle, because I'd gone weigh myself and I'm looking at this number and I'm thinking, well, hang on, I've put on a little bit of weight. And I'm like, but my body is so different. Like, I look so much better. Like, I feel amazing. My clothes fit great. What is happening here? And it's because over time and from showing up consistently with my healthy eating, making sure I was eating enough protein, going to the gym and doing resistance training, what I was actually doing was changing the composition of so that means I was building some lean muscle and also reducing my body fat percentage. And unfortunately, the scales just don't show that. And so that's why it's so important. And like I said, it took me a while to get my head around this and to make this mindset shift, because it was confusing. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, like, I'm doing all the things, working out. Look, I really like my body and I like what I see and I feel like lean and toned and fantastic, but the scale's telling me that I've put on a little bit of weight. Like, what's going on? And it just took time and patience and practice of me continually showing up, and the scale's giving me that same message. But I just eventually over time just kind of learned to ignore it and go, well, hang on a minute. The scale's telling me this, but I feel good. I look good. I can clearly see in the mirror that my body is changing. And like I said, it's that body composition that's changing. And that's the problem with the scale, is it will only give you one measure of progress, and that's just that number. So I really want in this episode to talk to you about how you can shift your mindset around the scale, how you can stop letting it control you, and different ways that you can actually start looking at other things and other ways to measure your progress and your efforts when it comes to healthy eating and weight loss. Now, it might be controversial, but I don't know about you, but I didn't have time for that. Like, I'm a busy working mum. I don't have time to weigh myself every day. And it is so important to remember as a woman and as a female, because of our hormones, because of water, all of these things, a healthy, like good weight person, someone that's not overweight or obese or all those kind of things, their weight fluctuates normally on a day-to-day basis. That's why it's so important that we stop relying on the scale as this only one measure of progress, because there's so much information that is just not telling you. So for me, for example, I can go and weigh myself, and one day it's up a kilo, the next day it's down a kilo, the next day it's up 200 grams. Like, that is normal, like a normal scale response from a healthy person. So when you're trying to lose weight, it can be really disheartening when you're thinking, well, I'm doing all of these things and this stupid number on this scale is not moving. And often the problem with that is because we get so focused on that number, and then we look at it and it's like, oh, well, what I'm doing is not working, so I'll just stop, or I'll change something, or I'll quit, or I'll start a new diet, or I'll try a new program. And when often all it takes is a little bit more time and a little bit more patience and starting to focus on other things aside from that scale. And that will keep you motivated to keep going without having to rely on that number on the scale. So, like I said, some people believe that you should weigh yourself every day. I don't have time for doing that. And I also truly, personally believe that it doesn't really create best relationship between you and your scale. If you're on it every day, checking it, has it moved an inch? Is anything happening? It becomes obsessive and it's really not healthy. In the Healthy Eating Hype Gal membership, I suggest that the girls just do it once a week. Like once a week, have a day, that's your weighing day once a week. And I really encourage them to shift their mindset around the way that they look at that number on the scale. It is just a tool. It is one tool out of many, many tools that we have access to as women to track, to monitor, to keep an eye on our progress for healthy eating and weight loss. It's just one tool. And I think that's the problem as women, that we have been taught that the scale is the only way to go. And it's not. And again, it comes down to things that we see on TV or in social media. It's before and after photos, and I've lost this much weight. And yes, those things are great. But the unfortunate problem with before and after photos is they do not give you the real picture. Like, I know that they're really sexy and they're fun, and you go, well, yeah, if she's done it, I want to do it too. And it's really motivating and inspiring seeing other women dropping those numbers and things. But there's so much other information that before and after photo does not show you that woman has experienced in order to get from the before to the after. So it's really, really important that you start to create a healthy mindset and a healthy relationship with your scale. Now, to be completely honest with you, I do own a scale. Do you know where it is? Like, I don't know. Like, I do own one. I don't know where it is. Like, it is collecting dust in my linen cupboard or like in a shelf somewhere. I don't actually know where it is. And that's because over time, I have created a healthy relationship with the scale. So for me, instead of weighing myself and going by that number, my main tool for my body is me. It's how I feel. And I can tell you, like, I'm so in tune with myself now. Let's say like we've been on a holiday, or there's been lots of social things and nights out and barbecues and all these kind of things. And I've been eating more, and I know like I've been snacking more, or I haven't been eating my protein as much. My body tells me, like, I feel like rubbish. I do. I feel pretty average. And it's that feeling that I go, oh, yeah, not liking where I am right now. And that's what pushes me to make a change. Not because I stand on the scale and it gives me a certain number, because it's just not accurate. It's just not a true accurate response of what is actually happening in our bodies. So it's really important to don't just shut off these outside triggers and only rely on the scale. Think about yourself. So say, well, how do I feel? Like, how am I feeling? Do I need to change something? Like, regardless of what that scale is telling you, you are a female. Women are so intuitive. And this is something I talk about all the time. Our bodies give us clues all the time, like all the time. Your body will be saying, you need to go to bed early, or you're super tired, or you feel really like lethargic and lack energy and you need to go and get back into your workout routines or get back into your exercise. Our bodies give us clues and things to how we are feeling and what we need to do all the time. The problem is that our lifestyles and our day-to-day routines are so busy with work and family and kids and school and all of these other things that we get that little trigger that we hear. It's like, yeah, I really need to go to bed earlier. I'm feeling super tired, but we just ignore it. We ignore it. We shut it down. We don't pay attention to it. And that's the problem, is that just builds up over time. So it relates back to those scales. So really start focusing into, well, you know what? How do I feel? What do I need? What am I missing? What do I need to add in? What do I need to take out? Because for me, it's that feeling that I'm constantly chasing. And I know when I'm out of alignment and I'm like, yeah, no, like I just haven't really been looking after myself very well. I've dropped some of my healthy habits. And you don't need a number on the scale to tell you that. You have all that stuff within you already. It's all in you. It's just the problem, like I said, that we get so busy. And so we just don't listen. We're like, yeah, I'll deal with that later. And unfortunately, our bodies give us little whispers all the time. Little whispers. Go to bed early. You need to eat some more fruits and vegetables. You're feeling really thirsty lately. You need to drink some more water. But the problem is we ignore the little whispers. We get the little whispers from our bodies all the time. And then unfortunately, if we don't listen to those little whispers, they turn into loud screams, or they turn into weight gain, or like that your pants don't fit, or all of those kind of things. But I guarantee you, if you pulled back and just stopped and listened to all of those little whispers that your body tells you, you wouldn't have to get to that point every single time. So really, really focusing on those signs, those feelings that you get from your body, and not always relying on the scale. So I want to jump in and talk about what we can do instead. So I've given you my experience with the scale, why I don't currently weigh myself, why I only go by how I feel, because I personally feel that for me, that is your best tool. You know yourself inside and out. You have to be quiet enough and slow down a little to listen to what she's telling you. She is telling you all the information that you need, and you don't need that information on a scale to tell you what you need to do. Are you ready to step into a vibrant community of health-conscious women where your journey to helping feel easy begins? Welcome to the Healthy Eating Hype Gal community, your ultimate destination for mastering your relationship with food and embracing a healthy lifestyle. As a busy working mum who's lost 10 kilos, I've been through it all and I understand the struggle. That's why I'm here to teach you the exact steps and tools I use to lose weight, conquer my mindset and thrive, all while juggling the demands of everyday life. Say goodbye to no more confusing fad diets or overwhelming nutrition advice. In this community, I'll guide you through the maze of weight loss and healthy eating and explain it to you in a way that finally makes sense. From easy, family-friendly meal plans to my exclusive calorie deficit quick guide, monthly masterclasses, plus so much more, so you can finally make healthy eating an achievable lifestyle without restriction. It's time to ditch the confusion and overwhelm for good. Join today and kickstart your journey to a healthier, happier you. There's no perfect time to start. Let's make your wellness dreams a reality. Okay, so let's talk about what you can do and how you can track your progress without relying on a scale. So you're probably listening to this and saying, well, that's great. What do I do then? How do I track my progress without using the scale? And that's what I want to remind you. The scale is one tool. It's just one tool. So, and the problem with the scale is it will not tell you all of these other things that are happening. Okay. So other things that you may choose to ignore because you're only focusing on that scale number is, how do you feel? Do you feel better? Do you feel less tired? Do you feel less sluggish? Like, how do you actually feel? Like, we shouldn't always be, well, I didn't see a drop in the number on the scale this week, so that means I'm a failure and that means I didn't change anything. You absolutely do. Weight loss is a really slow process. Every single woman that I've worked with has said to me at some point or another, wow, Jen, this takes way longer than what I thought. And that's the reality. And that's why most women quit too soon, because it just takes too long to because we don't have those quick fix results and those kind of things. It does take time, and it does take time to build those healthy habits. Okay, so how can we track your progress without relying on the scale? Okay, number one, like I said, shift your mindset is just a tool. That's all it is. It's one tool that you can use, as well as using lots and lots and lots of other tools. So I just want you to focus on it as being just a tool in your arsenal of all the things that you're going to use to measure if you're making progress. Shift your mindset to it's just a tool. Okay, number two, become aware of other changes and signs. Now, I touched on this briefly before, but we just ignore them. We get them all the time. And as women, we get so busy that we just ignore them. So instead of focusing on that scale, I want you to think about and really focusing on some other signs of progress that you can see. So like I said, how do you feel? Have you got more energy? Do you feel less tired? That is progress. How's your skin? Do you feel like because you're eating better and you're drinking more water, how is your skin? Is it brighter? Is your complexion clearer? All of those kind of things. That's a win. Are you feeling like when you first started exercising, it was really hard and now you're finding your workouts are easier? That's a win. That is progress. Are you finding that you are building a better mindset around food and learning that you can still enjoy dessert every night and still work on your weight loss goals at the same time? Tick. That's a win. Are you realizing that you can still eat chocolate and lose weight and you've stopped restricting all of your favorite foods? Tick. That's a win. Did you meal plan and prep your meals this week that you haven't previously been doing and you felt really confident and in control and successful with your week of efforts? Tick. This is what I'm talking about. There are so many other signs of progress that are available to you. It's just that we choose to ignore them and only focus on that one thing, and that's the scale. So really shift your mindset and just start looking outside of you. And the other tip that I wanted to mention, which was tip number 3, is to write these things down and journal them. So as part of a Healthy Eating Hype Girl membership, the girls get a journal, and there is so much research and so much evidence about when you reflect and you write things down that you significantly achieve greater results compared to those that don't. So it's really important to write things down. So let's say you go and you weigh yourself and you're like, I've been doing all the things. I stuck to my calories. I exercised. I meal prepped. I did all the things. I had a really good week, and you're feeling really good about yourself. And then you stand on the scale and the scale says no weight loss, or it might even be a slight gain. And then your self-esteem just plummets and you feel awful about yourself and you're like, well, what was the point? And you start thinking that you're a failure and you're never going to get to your end goal and all those kind of things. And that's the problem with the scale. Whereas if you can get your journal out and write things down. So it might be, okay, this is the date. You might say, I've done this really well. I've done this well. This worked well. This was really good. This was my result. So you can reflect on that. So when it's written down, because the problem is that when we get in our heads, like I said, so you've done all the things, you stand on the scales and you're not the number that you want, we get in our own heads, okay, and we start catastrophizing the situation. Like I said, I'm a failure. I can't make this work. What's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? This is not working. I better jump and try a new diet or a new program or something like that. And it's just about shifting your mindset, about focusing on those other things that aren't the scale, because they will tell you so much more. And that's why writing those things down, journaling them. So it's like, well, I didn't get my number, but hey, you know what? I did this, I did this, I did this. So that you can look back on your week and go, hey, I'm really proud of myself. I've made some massive efforts and some massive progress this week. I'm showing up, I'm doing all the things, and I just need some time and patience. And then the results and the numbers that I want will come. It's just that shift in mindset that you need to make about those scales. Okay. Tip number 4, and this was a really big one that helped me a lot. Move the scales. Just put them somewhere else. Move them. It's like anything. If that scale is in place that you have to, it's high traffic in your home, so you have to walk past it all the time, or you're constantly seeing it all the time, it's always going to be on your mind, isn't it? Oh, I wonder did anything happen this week? Oh, I better weigh myself. Oh, I wonder if when weigh-in day, if anything's going to happen. Just move the scale, put it under your bed, put it in a cupboard. You're still going to have your weigh-in day or whatever once a week, but you don't need to be having this constant reminder and seeing this thing every time that you walk past it. So a really big tip, really simple, just move the scale somewhere else. Okay, tip number 5. This is a big one. And this comes up a lot, and I've had to experience this personally myself. There was times where I would stand on the scale and I had a gain or I hadn't lost anything. And again, you go into that catastrophe mode and you're like, well, this is not working. What am I doing wrong? I'm a failure. I must have done something wrong. Why is this not working? And that's why this tip is so important. You need to accept that you won't always see a drop in the scale. You just won't. It's just reality. I talk about it all the time. Weight loss is a slow process, and weight loss does not happen in a very nice, neat, linear fashion. We have this belief that, okay, well, I want to lose 10 kilos, so that will happen in like 8 to 10 weeks. No, it can take months. Like it can actually take months. And the thing that you have to remember is that when you take the time for the weight to come off in its own time and with building healthy habits and changing your relationship with food and all of those things, when you let those things happen over time and let them take as long as they need to take, they become maintainable. They become achievable. When you do things quick and short and fast, you never understand how you got there. You don't understand how you got your results, and you don't know how to understand and how to replicate those healthy habits for the long term. It's really important that you ditch the timeline and just let it take as long as it needs to take. And unfortunately, a part of that is just accepting, like I said, you will not always see a drop in the number on the scale. And it can be 100 grams. People will like message me and go, oh, but Jen, I'm like doing all the right things and I've only lost 100 grams. I'm on the other end saying, that's amazing. That's fantastic. Like 100 grams is a loss. But that's the problem that we have, is that we're just sort of told that weight loss is fast, it's quick. It happens with like 1 to 2 kilos every week. And it just doesn't happen that way. So it's really, really important, if you're going to heal your relationship with your scale, that you start to accept that you will not always see change in that number on the scale. And like I said, there's all those other things as a woman that factor into it. Like we've got hormones and water, and like if you eat a high carb meal, that can also increase your scale weight. And it does not mean that you're not making progress. So it's really, really important to focus on those other signs of progress, because when you do, that is what will keep you going. If you only have the scale to rely on and it doesn't give you the information that you want at the end of the week, what are you most likely to do? You're going to quit. You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to say you're a failure, and you're going to be right back to square one. So it's really about creating and developing a healthy relationship with your scale and just seeing it as one tool. It's one tool in all of the other things that you can use to measure your progress. And look, to be honest, I've experienced it. It takes time. That's another thing with changing the relationship that you have with food and exercise and around the scale. It takes time. It takes time of weekly going, okay, well, nothing happened on the scale, but I'm going to write down all of my wins anyway. Focusing on other things will help shift your perspective and help shift your mindset. For me, it took time. It just took time over and over again. I'd be like, okay, wait a minute, hang on. I've done all the things, nothing's happening, but I'm noticing all these changes in my body and like my clothes feel different. And that's the stuff that you need to focus on, because those wins are what will keep you going. They will keep you wanting to show up consistently, and they will help you to get to your end goal. So I really hope that from listening to today's episode that I've given you a little sense of freedom, because the scale can be really tiring and really exhausting. And especially too, if you have had a yearly, ongoing, years after year battle with trying to lose weight and trying to improve your healthy eating and all those kind of things, and this scale just is not telling you what you want it to, it can be really, really disheartening. So I really hope that from listening to this episode, I've given you maybe a little I've opened a doorway to some freedom that you can have around the scale. Like I said, move your scale, focus on other signs of progress, and just give yourself time to start creating that healthy relationship with your scale. Don't forget to journal as well. Like I said, really important to write down what your wins are. In the membership, we celebrate our weekly wins, because I'm so focused on helping the women in our community focus on those other wins and not just rely on the scale. Because like I said, you can have a healthy person stand on the scale and that number will change slightly across 7 days. Okay. So when you're trying to lose weight, that's just why it becomes so confusing and so hard, because naturally our bodies do change weight. And or often too, if you weigh yourself on different scales or at someone's house, or things are always slightly different. So just doing it once a week, use it as data. It's just data, but it's not everything. Shift your focus so the scale is not your entire way of tracking your progress, and focus on those other things. And like I said, hopefully I've opened up a little doorway to some freedom for you so that you can start to feel a little bit of freedom around the scales. And so it stops controlling your everyday life. I hope you found today's episode really, really helpful. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe and follow button so you do not miss an episode of the Healthy Her podcast. We drop a brand new episode every single Tuesday. And also too, before I forget, don't forget you can head to the show notes, or also to my website, theactivebod.com, and download your free healthy eating and weight loss essentials kit. It's got a free meal plan. It's got healthy high protein recipes, lots of things for some new inspo and some new ideas to get you inspired and motivated again to take care of yourself and your wellness. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat and found it helpful, hitting that follow or subscribe button would be amazing, because your support means the world to me. Come connect with me on Instagram @theactivebod for your daily dose of inspiration and for loads of new easy meal ideas. Take care and keep thriving. See you next week.